Hello, good morning. What's up, my light and lovers? This is Mr. Light and Love here, Eddie Pabon, coming to have this Friday morning discussion with you all about happiness from within. I'm going to be speaking with Master Psychotherapist Julissa Edwards. Hello, Necros Nero. Hello, Follow the Leader, Sammy's World. How are y'all doing? Y'all ready to have some serious discussions? Here we go. This is coming on now. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I'm over here thinking you're on my headset, right? And I'm like all Batmaned out because I can't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then you're on my phone. So we'll work it like this. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. Good morning.
I'm excited. I've been waiting 2 weeks to do this with you. You're so busy.
I am.
I love, I
am.
love it. I support it. I'm proud of you.
Um,
Felicia, how are you? Welcome.
yes, welcome everyone. Good morning. It's Friday. What
Yes.
a
Fridays
freedom.
are still Fridays, even in quarantine.
Yeah, rest is well needed, especially in quarantine, as crazy as that sounds, but it is what it is. Yeah.
Yes. We could have been sleeping in today, y'all, and getting a little bit more rest, but we decided to wake up a little extra early so that we could give you some light and love, some
Yes.
inspiration, and show you how to be happy from within.
Yes. I'm so excited for today's conversation. It's going to be
I
so
am too. I think we're gonna have some juiciness going on. Hello, Denise. How are you? I would love for you to be a part of this discussion, love, because you are a parent and experienced woman, and you have some value to give the world as well.
yeah.
So last week we spoke about happiness from within, right? And we precipiced with sort of like
In
noticing how you feel, mindfulness, right? Some psychotherapy techniques, right? Because you're the master of that. I love doing this with you because she's like science, y'all, and I'm like spirit, and then we put it together, and it's like spirit
because
science.
like together, and I just love the two worlds coming together because it's a long time coming. Like it needed to be holistically all in one from jump, but we're here now and we're doing it. So we're starting something crazy and something new, and I love it.
New vision 2020.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Focusing in. So today, we decided that we were going to bring you all a discussion about mindfulness in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that maybe to begin, we can remind you all what mindfulness is, right? And then, Julissa, maybe you can give us a description of what the definition of a relationship is, right? Because we got to get down to the core and the meat and bones of things
Yeah.
to then have a discussion about it, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, mindfulness is being in the present moment, right? Constantly bringing yourself back to the moment, noticing how you feel, noticing thoughts, emotions, feelings, judgments that arise as a result of some sort of stimuli coming in, some sort of something that triggers you to start thinking, your brain starts going, it looks for associations. So mindfulness is really the practice of getting out of your head, getting out of your stuff, and just sort of coming into the present moment, noticing where you are, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, how you're judging things, people, and places, right? And sort of like not getting involved in that noise and just bringing yourself back. So it's like a practice of constantly bringing yourself back into the present moment. Noticing these things has profound effects on your own levels of anxiety, depression, awareness, right? Happiness.
Right.
And so now that we have the mindfulness definition, please, Julia, so tell us about relationships.
Relationship, simply said, is interactions between two people, right? And I would say like a healthy relationship is one that equates like equal energy exchange, right? So I give in, I also receive. It's not just giving, 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 and no receiving. And even when we think about parenting, right? Like we're giving, giving, giving into our children, but like our children are blessing us with love, right? And they're teaching us patience and all those kinds of things. So even in a relationship like that, like it's still an even exchange. right? We fall into some maybe like problematic categories when we have codependency, which is when we're like super, super reliant on somebody else, when we're expecting way too much from somebody else, right? It's just like, where's like the equal exchange of energy? Where is that happening? So simply said, it's just like, love between two individuals, care, compassion, empathy between two individuals, and just respect for the other person, their feelings, and just, be, again, we're combining mindfulness with relationships, right? You can put mindfulness in everything, being being present in how you are feeling and how you are expressing that to the other person and vice versa, and being open to listening, right? So
Absolutely, yes. Kids do that too. What we have Felicia down here engaging in a discussion. She's like, and kids do that too. Yes, they do. Kids are constantly being present in the moment, right? They don't know anything better. So they're like, when you come into this world, you are just sort of absorbing things, taking in the world around you.
yeah,
And by nature of taking things in, you are being mindful, right? You're sort of just noticing everything and you have this awareness, right? So children are very special, and they're very sensitive to the world around them because they have no experience with it. So everything is so sort of super vivid, super exciting. Like, oh
yeah.
my gosh, I want to go play with the dirt. How many of us remember like sitting and playing with dirt when it was raining? I wanted to grab a stick and like dig and make mud and play with the worm. I wanted to know what a worm was, right? So
Saying the first time you saw snow, like, oh my God, like, and so I love children. They're just the reminder of like, yeah, like life is good, guys. Like, just chill out.
yeah, it is. It is. So we started off with mindfulness. We gave a brief definition of relationships and then mindfulness in relationships, right? Like bringing the two together. So I think one of the things that you said that was significant was about boundaries, right? Hey,
Mhm.
Annie, welcome, love. Hello, everyone who is joining us. We're talking about mindfulness in relationships, and we'd love to have an interactive discussion with y'all. So please engage, ask questions, give feedback as we discuss. But in terms of healthy boundaries, right? Boundaries are a big part of relationships, and I don't think that we're necessarily taught boundaries. Maybe in the healthiest ways as we're growing up, we sort of like trial and error, right? Our boundaries, and kids are always pushing boundaries, right? Testing the waters, so to speak.
Love it.
Um, Right, but relationships are about rules, roles, and boundaries, right? I think that's like the triad of every relationship. And
Mhm.
so we kind of have an understanding of what our rules are for engaging one another if we're in a relationship, right? If we're mutually doing a live to try to help people be happy from within.
Right. Yeah.
Um, right? With our children, with our coworkers. Hello, Damas, how are you? Sending you much light and love. And so when you think about rules, roles, and boundaries, right? I want to keep this very simple and to the core because a lot of us get caught up in the noise of relationships. And to be mindful about what's going on, you've got to get to the root of the stuff, right? So in your relationships, every one of them has rules, roles, and boundaries, right? You will say things to friends and family that you wouldn't probably say to coworkers, right? Because there are several boundaries that have been established between professional and personal barriers, right? And so it is very much needed for you to examine, and you can feel free to let me know, Julissa, if at any point in time, like because I can rant forever. But
Yeah.
it is imperative that you examine the rules, roles, and boundaries of each relationship that you have, especially when you find that the relationship is in discord, right? Instead of being in harmony, you're fighting constantly, or you're having issues with whomever it is, right?
Right.
Examine what those rules, and boundaries are, and I think you'll start to get to the root of the problem. You'll start to become more mindful of the relationship that you have,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the main thing here is of course mindfulness, right? Like, do you even know what your boundaries are? Like, do you know yourself well enough to know what you like, what you don't like, what you expect from different individuals, from an acquaintance, from a stranger, from a coworker, from a family member, from an intimate partner, like from your child? These are all different kinds of relationships. And what do you expect? What are your boundaries? What are your expectations, right? And if you have expectations, is that being vocalized to the other person, and is it being received well, right?
It's so yes,
We do
yes.
assumption, and we think like, oh, but they should know that I don't like that. Like, we're not mind readers. Do
Mm.
they know you don't like that, right? So yeah.
You. I had wrote down healthy boundaries and expectations, and
Yeah.
then you mentioned expectations of that's why I love you. She's me as a woman, y'all. You don't understand.
Yep.
So,
Want to read that? I think
yeah,
from Felicia, she said, you want me to read it?
yeah, sure.
Kids have a lot going on with themselves, and parenting do not listen. I understand what they're going through, but I do. But that's why I do. Sorry, that's why a lot of kids come to me and talk to me about their problems. That's wonderful. That means that you're easy to talk to. That means that kids feel comfortable with you because you're listening. That's all it takes because you're listening and you care. You care. Yeah.
Yeah, children are, I think they get the shitty end of the stick, for the lack of a better description, because they're at our mercy and they're brought into this world not knowing what's going on. And unfortunately, a lot of us learned our relationship standards with children, right? We were taught, I don't know about you, Julissa, but I can't even reference that because that's a whole other shitstorm. But uh, still in all, being a Latino, I think the understanding overall is like you do as I say, not as I do,
Oh my God.
right? And you sort of fall in line where kids are supposed to fall in line.
Mm,
And it creates confusion for children, right? Because kids are so raw, they're naturally themselves.
mhm.
And every time you tell a kid, you don't say that, you don't do that, it sort of diminishes who the true self of the child is, right? And teaches them to store those feelings and emotions as opposed to just letting it go, processing it, and
And-
letting out that energy, right?
mhm.
So we have to be mindful to teach kids to be free to express themselves and how to express themselves in a healthy way without penalizing them or demonizing them for having feelings.
Yes. Yes. Parenting is like coaching in a sense. It's like, you want to coach your star athlete to learn better by them figuring it out, not us just telling them the answer. Because if we always feed people the answer, like it's, sometimes it is received, but there's another way of learning as well. So like if a child says something bad, and this is, yeah, let's keep it to children. If a child says something bad, hey, like, why did you think it was okay to say that? I'm not screaming at you. I'm not like being forceful. I'm just inquisitive, as we all need to be, even with ourselves. Like, why did I do that yesterday? You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of being like, oh my God, like, you're the worst child ever. Like, why would you do that? It's so embarrassing. Like, he or she is going to crumble, right? And adults, I always say adults are just simply adult children. We
Yeah,
are the same. We need to be treating adults the same way we treat children.
this
Literally.
is this is profound what you're saying. I always say most people grow old, they don't grow up,
Yeah, and
right?
hey, we're children. We're adult children. We still have our temper tantrums. We still get easily offended. Like, depending on where you're at in life and depending on what kind of triggers are coming your way. But regardless, right? If a child is like doing something like absurd, you're just like, oh, like, what? Why did you do that?
Yeah,
What made you fall into that kind of like action? Of course, you use easy words that they can understand. And when they tell you, well, mommy or daddy, I did this because of why, I'm like, okay, well, maybe next time we can think about it this way. Boom. Okay, mommy. At that age, they're so eager to learn. Oh,
yeah.
like a better way to do it. That sounds wonderful. Like people really, really don't they take for granted how smart and intellectual children really, really are.
Yes. Yes. I remember knowing what folks were talking about. I remember being engaged in adult discussions and they were using like code words and patterns like the there instead of there. And I'm like, there in my head. Like I knew. You know what I mean? Like, and then they speak Spanish. Hablan español, él no entiende. Speak Spanish, he doesn't understand. And
Right.
I'm like, sí entiendo todo, sigue hablando. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course I understand it. I don't understand nothing. Keep talking. I know all the watching shit, right? All the gossip. But we have Felicia here, especially a teenager. A parenting is not listening to him to understand about sexual and physical, emotional. They're always arguing and fussing at him, and they don't understand what they're living. I
Mhm.
think that's what you meant to say, Felicia. I'm glad you're engaging in this discussion because you're absolutely right. Everything is tied, right? I think in mindfulness, you start to learn, if you get deeper into practice, you start to learn that everything and everyone is a part of the greater picture, a part of the greater whole. And
Mhm.
as much as we feel small and insignificant, the reality is we're so much more powerful and so much more meaningful, our lives as a part of the whole picture
Yeah.
than we perceive. right? And everything has a ripple effect. So the energy that you give to your children will be the energy that your children will give to others, will give back to you, right? And so it's this exchange of understanding.
Yeah.
A lot of parents are like, why is this kid acting? Why is my kid acting this way? And
Hmm.
I hate to say this, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, parents, but
Let
it's you. It's you.
oh,
Because the thing is, right, this human being that came out of you and your partner that has your DNA, that looks and feels and
yeah,
tastes and touches like you,
yeah,
is a copy of you,
yeah.
right?
So I think we're starting with the conversation of children because oftentimes those are, to a child to adult, that's our first relationship.
Absolutely.
Something that I want to bring up too, like, therapy, being enlightened, mindfulness, all this type of work is somewhat new and now like popular in our day and age, right? And it wasn't popular back then. So what we find up happening a lot is that our parents, we tend to forget that they're people too. Like when we're little, like there are everything as they should be. There are
They're
everything.
gods. This like, mom, I'm gonna tell my mom, I'm gonna tell my dad. Like,
Right now, I was terrified of my mother. Father. Like I was respectful, obedient. Like at least I tried to be. I hope she can say the same. But regardless, right? So like when we talk about relationships and we're starting with children, it's because it's our first type of relationship.
absolutely.
And I think that as we get older, as we become even more of an adult child, we can really, if we're looking to really understand and have compassion, we can understand that like our parents were also young adults normally during the time that they had us. Think about me and you. I'm 27. I am a young adult.
My parents had me when they were 14 and 15 years old, and that was a shitstorm to begin with,
Yeah,
right? These are children having children, and this is not uncommon in our world, right? We tend to judge kids, but they are products of their environments, of their circumstances, of their upbringing, right? For better or for worse, right? Whatever life has thrown at them is what they have adjusted to, and it has molded them, right? So, parents, people, folks, we did bring this back to childhood and we have been focusing on parenting and mindfulness because it all starts from what we learn from our parents and our upbringing. And
Mhm.
that translates into directly, right? Without years
Yep.
of therapy, we're going to give it to you right here, right? We want to come on and give you value and things that you can take and really like sit on, right? Until our next session, and maybe you can be a part of the discussion later. But we
Yeah.
want you to think about start to think about your relationships and start to do comparisons to how your parents had relationships and the relationships you grew up around. And start to think about how this has molded you and
Mhm.
your belief in relationships, right?
It's
I grew up believing that people couldn't be faithful to you. Why? Because I had a cheating father who was a womanizer. I had a stepfather who cheated on my mom. I had an aunt who had like a girlfriend, a husband, and a boyfriend. And as dysfunctional as that was, it's not uncommon to see. There's always that one family member, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but what as a result, I grew up believing, right? And believing is strong because it filters out any other option,
It's all
right? Your belief is your belief, and that's it. That's what guides your navigating system.
and it's your norm, right? So like a child who's growing up, I always say you are a product of your genetics, your environment, and your upbringing, right? So if you're a child growing up and all you're seeing is men cheating on women, right? I can relate. My father also cheated, right? And then I had a bunch of uncles who got married 2 3 times. So it's like, oh, this must be the thing. Like people don't really stay married for a long time, right? Not understanding that like that was just my perception because that was maybe, some people that I saw in my family. But when you're young, what else do you have to see than the
No
example?
reference points. This is your reference. This is life. This is and your life, your block, your house, your immediate family, they're the world,
Yeah,
right? Until you realize that you're like a nanospeck in the bigger picture, right? But in your life, it's so much bigger than everything is so real and vivid. Something, Felicia. I want to make sure we engage in folks.
yeah.
Felicia, we hear you. As a parent that I am, and I don't understand my daughter, I don't understand my son. I take him to a psychiatrist or a therapist and a counselor, them know what's going on and my child. And okay, so I
Okay.
think it's just, yeah, address it.
because that's so wonderful. Yes, for taking your children to psychotherapy, to a therapist. Something that I do when I take care of children, or at least when I used to in my past, is depending on the child of the age, I always want the parent, and I feel like all a therapist needs to want these things too, right? Is to include the parent in conversation. Yes, right. Like if anyone that is under like 16, 15, like the parent, for me personally, I normally invite the parent into the session for the last 15 minutes. I take your child for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then I invite the parent in to be like, and I let the child do what he or she feels is best to share. Hey, what did we learn today in session? What do you feel comfortable letting mom or dad in? And they get looped in, because therapy is wonderful because they're able to find someone that they confide in, but it does nothing if they're only confiding in me and not the parent. That's the issue, that you want to have that relationship. So I'm not going to reinforce some more separation. I want the parent to come in, but I'll let the child choose what he or she wants to share.
Absolutely. I'm interested, Felicia, what exactly, if you don't mind sharing, right? There's no requirement here, but if you would like to share, since you are engaging in the discussion, what challenges specifically are you facing with the children that you have, with your kids, right? What is it that is bringing you to psychotherapy in the first place? You know, I'm totally for whatever works for folks, right? Therapy for people is life changing at times when used effectively, when actually taking face value for what it, like taking what is given to you in these sessions and actually implementing them into your life, right? And hopefully you're not pre-contemplative, you don't know that you don't know, you actually are in some kind of a tune and you can take action, right, to get to where you need to get. I think though it is something to note. Family systems theory, right, says that every family has rules, roles, and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's always a problem child, if you will, or the scapegoat is what is called in family systems theory.
Yeah.
There's always folks who play their roles, right? There are rules to every family system, and then there's boundaries, right? You just don't do that, and you don't say that in front of dad, or you don't act that way in front of my family,
All
whatever.
the unspoken rules, you don't do that. Come on, you don't. Yeah, yeah. Keep going. Sorry. So
So
good.
now communication is usually between two individuals, right? And what we learn in family systems theory is that whenever there is a break in communication or quote unquote dysfunction in the family system, then triangulation starts to happen, right? And we see this all the time where like we speak through other people to get our message across, right? So like I'm mad at my sister, right? I'm just giving an example. I'm not mad at you. I love you, sis.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Mm-hmm.
I'm mad at my sister and I want her to know let's keep it all the way real. Julissa, forgive me, but I want her to know she's a fucking bitch. Like she shouldn't have done that, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I'm gonna go call in a functional situation. I would call my sister and say, I think that what you did was very bitchy. I think that I was fucked up, and I would process those feelings with her. In
Right.
a dysfunctional triangulation, I
Yes.
will call my other sister, my
Yep.
brother,
Yep.
my
Yep. Yep.
mother, my
Yep.
father,
Yep.
her best friend,
Correct.
people I know.
Everybody but the direct source.
Right. And so what you do is you're triangulating discussion, which symbolizes dysfunction. So I challenge you, right? We said we're going to bring you value and we're going to bring you some things to think about. I challenge you to think about any triangulation that you have going on in your family system,
Yes.
in your friendship system, in
Well,
your relationship system.
yeah, so like it starts with our immediate relationships, which is our family, right? So if you find yourself doing that, I always tell the females that work with me, the women that work with me, so like if we're having marital issues or relationship issues, who do we talk to? A best friend about it. My husband's doing this, my boyfriend's doing this, and I'm like, so why aren't we talking to your boyfriend, your husband about it? Why are we asking everybody else on the street about it, or your family or your friends? Where did that pattern stem from? How does your family handle discussions? If you saw it happening when you were a child, when you were an adolescent, when you were a teen, a 20-year-old, then this pattern continues into adulthood, right? And like, why do you think we are the way we are? Why don't you think that this is how we learn to accept behaviors without ever fully talking about them? Oh, that's just how he is. He just knows that if he does this, and I know that's my place to be like, where did these unspoken rules come about? Is that the way that your family handled things? Where did you learn this kind of behavior from? Is it proactive? Could there be a better way of figuring this out? Oh, I guess I could talk to them directly. Perfect. Let's go ahead and do that.
Go
Yes.
to the source, right? And then also, it's not what you say, it's how you say it sometimes. I think that a lot of times we go into things like guns a blazing, and we have these emotional impulses that sort of get, we think of how many times, right? Have you ever been mad at someone
Mhm.
and you thought out every possible scenario of how you were going to let them have it, and
Yeah.
they were going to say, and then you were going to say, right,
Yeah.
in your head, right? And
Yeah.
then you see them and it just doesn't play out that way.
Yeah. Me and
Or
you.
the flip side, you actually manifest exactly what you've been planning on doing. And
Yeah.
even if that person was not coming with guns a-blazing attitude, you
Yes.
set the tone with
Yeah.
the
Had a
and
pre.
the and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
right?
Yes. And I talk about this, it's something called like fixed mindset versus growth mindset, right?
Oh,
You go, yes, when you go to a relation or into a conversation thinking like, this is not going to work out. He is the way he is. She is the way she is. There's no talking to them. Boom, fixed mindset. Then there's not going to be any positive interaction because you're walking into it with negative connotations already before it even starts.
yeah.
And people don't understand, like, if you're the one that's going to be starting this conversation, you hold the power to regulate how the conversation goes, especially if you're starting it, right? Because people mirror, right? Like when me and Eddie talk, it's all good vibe, it's all good vibes, all good energy because we vibe very, very well. Versus
We
now,
have healthy rules, roles, and boundaries. We respect one another and we complement one another's energies.
yes, but it just this for the sake of mirroring, right? Like
Yes,
we
yes, yes, yes.
vernacular, we have the same vocabulary, so we can talk effortlessly. If I'm talking to a child, I'm going to switch that up because I'm talking to a child.
Yes.
If I'm talking to my father, I'm going to switch that up because I'm talking to my father, right? So if I'm coming into a conversation and I'm starting it knowing that this is going to be difficult, just take that in. It's going to be difficult, right? But I control the mood because I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing it. And if I can keep cool, calm, and collected, the other person will have to match that energy. Now, I get triggered and I lose my cool, then boom, 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 we're going at each other and there's just no success there.
I see this so much. Okay, so a couple of things. First thing, there's like three things you said I want to address. I love this. But also Felicia, she actually mentioned something here. It's communication with me and my child because they don't understand what they're going through and what I'm going through with them. That's why I do that because what I'm going through mental is, oh, I don't know how to do that myself. I split up be in a comfort zone and I'll be in mine until I get understanding of what they're going through and what they understand in life. So basically what I'm getting is that you sort of have a disconnect in mutual understanding, right? Which I think is interesting, right, Felicia, because your mom, right, and you know your kids, right, and you've been around longer than them. You've had the interaction. I think it's interesting that you're on two separate pages. So what I always say to folks is open up your ears more than your mouth. Kids have, I don't know what your family system is, right? So I'm just listening and I'm just responding, and I think I'm making generalizations, and
It
so it
sounds
may or may not apply.
it sounds like she's going through something herself, which is also why she's in therapy, right? Which is beautiful because it means that you're gonna just be healing from within so that you can now teach better to your children. But I guess during this transitional phase, they're also confused because of maybe mom's trauma too, you know?
Right. You said mirroring, which is interesting because bringing it back to what you just finished saying,
Right.
when you go into therapy, Felicia, and you start making the moves to heal and to become happier, to do the work, then your children are going to start mirroring that. And I think there may be some confusion in the mix, right? Because you're coming to an understanding. But just remember to treat your kids as though you would want to be treated, right? Understand that you come from a different position because by nature you're in this sort of power position,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're the parent. Remember we were talking about parents walk on water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also give yourself credit as a parent. You have done the best that you can with what you were given. And this particular point in your life and in your relationship cycle with your children is opportunity for growth, mutual understanding, and to sort of put things from the past to rest, right? Heal that stuff, get rid of the triangulation. Hopefully, the therapy will get you all to communicate more effectively without external sources,
Correct.
and then you can make that happen. So you said something earlier too that I want to touch really quickly, and it was about teaching kids observing how situations are handled, how problematic or it's like fights are resolved, right? And I don't know, again, I don't know about y'all, but as a Latino male growing up,
We're
it
fire.
was clean your fucking room, right? Or hey, right?
That's
So
the way
growing up,
yes, yes, we
yeah,
yell. And I cover it up, like we're so passionate. Latinos are so passionate. Right? We're trying to put a nice positive spin on it. But yes, we tend to be very loud and to get our point across like it's aggressive, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. Our parents, this is something that I want everyone to take away from. Our parents did the best they could with what they had. Right, we're in this new age of look. Me and Eddie, and Eddie's in New York. I'm in North Carolina. We're doing lives together every other week. We're educating. Like this wasn't around 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Like we are now at the disposal of receiving very, very good, psychoeducational information about things just like this. So like be grateful that we can do things like this and understand that our parents did not, right? Our parents did the best they could. And if you're Latino like ourselves, right, most of our parents are immigrant parents, right? So they're coming from a different country, different culture, now having to assimilate into America. Like there were so many things coming. Like I want us to hold compassion for them. That does not,
mm,
you were really, really hurt by your parents and they did, really wrong by you. That doesn't mean that like we're just going to forgive and move forward. Like we have to address those things, right? But we also have to have compassion to understand like they did what they could with the best that they had.
yep. And so are you, right? And then also considering that our time periods, although we have basic human skills that we pass down, right? Our social standards, our experience in life overall is completely different. Hey Maria, how you doing, love? We're talking about mindfulness and parenting. So
Sorry.
for as people of color, let's make it more general because I think we break ourselves down into the boxes we've been given all our lives. But in all actuality, we're all human, and though we have cultural differences, we have similar struggles. All of us have the same anxieties, depressions, fears, right? Goals, etc., etc.
Mhm.
So our parents came from different struggles, right? Like my grandparents had to change their names because if you were a Latino in New York and you had a Latin name, you wouldn't get hired, right?
Correct.
So people of color had different challenges. So their level of humility, their level of sort of militance kind
Yes.
of perspective, it's
Yes.
like, do or die. You need to adjust to societal standards. And I think our parents came from an era that they were taught that they needed to conform to what society said they should be like and diminish who their true selves were, right? And
Correct.
our age of information, available exchange, freedom, right, is a different time. It's like you get to be who you are, freedom of expression, right? We have like gay rights and now we're fighting for people of color rights, right? Black Lives Matter and human rights overall, right? We're looking for a mutual exchange of human energy, and this is a freedom of expression era. This is a fuck you, unapologetic, I'm Eddie kind
Yep.
of a vibe, right?
Life matters. Yes. Yes.
Yes, yes,
Well, like we're late on the game, but yes. Yes.
yes. So
Mhm.
and remember that karma has a funny way of sort of creeping up on us as human beings, and we have spent centuries oppressing a certain color, right?
Mhm.
Ooh, God bless us with that karma. And we need to fix that because that energy would be really heavy to receive back, right? And we have to treat people how we wish to be treated, like fucking humans,
Right.
right?
Right.
I don't know, I know how y'all raise your kids as well too, because I'm friends with a lot of people like y'all as well too. But I also talk and understand with y'all what y'all going through as well. But with my situation, I love the enthusiasm, Felicia. I just need you to finish these sentences so I can know where you're going, so we can answer.
Like you said, without getting upset, without getting emotional, physical, and outrageous, learn to stand there and understand your boundaries and keep your mind focused on the right thing because that's the right thing. Yes. So just to piggyback off of that, right? Like, yeah, when we're walking into a conversation that we know is going to be difficult, prepare yourselves for that conversation because understand that it's going to be difficult, right? Like if we were going to take a test and it was like the last test of the year, your final, like you're going to expect that it's going to be more challenging than your regular quizzes throughout the year. So a conversation like this is going to be more challenging than your regular conversations that we have in the household, right? So like you need to prepare for a conversation like this. You need to understand yourself, your triggers. What might your mom or dad say or childhood that's going to piss you off, and learn to expect it so
What
that
might your partner say, right?
what
Because
you're
this is
say, right, and learn to expect it so that when it comes, why did you walk into this conversation? What is the point? I always teach my clients, what is your end goal? What is your end goal of this conversation? Because if you find yourself teetering off that end goal, then you've lost sight of the goal. If you
absolutely.
in fight, if you're engaging in, getting heated and getting ramped up and getting tight, then like you've lost sight of the goal, right? So like that would be your space of just like take a chill pill, take a walk, do what you got to do, come back, and then
Practice meditation, right? This
yes,
is why I preach, not I don't preach, but I recommend highly, highly that you practice meditation. The whole idea of practicing early on, the best time to meditate is before you start your day, without a doubt, right? And it's recommended because the idea behind mindfulness is, again, to notice things as they're coming at you and to sort of feel them, process it, but let it go through you and keep going, right? And what happens is when we get caught up in our emotions and we get frustrated, we don't think straight. How many times have we said things when we were frustrated or done things when we were frustrated, and when we calmed down, we just felt stupid, we felt regretful, we wish we had said things differently, and then we feel misunderstood, and that just takes us down the spiral of negative feelings,
and you
right?
did it perfectly with mindfulness meditation, because why are we irrational and misunderstood? Is because we have so many thoughts, right? And that's what meditation helps with. We have so many thoughts racing, 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 racing. Anything, it's like an orbit of like cars spinning. Anything that your partner, your mom, your dad, whoever you're talking to may say that's gonna piss you off is gonna throw everything into shambles, and you're just like the monster out, because it's like, of course the monster comes out. You were spiraling with thoughts already, with anger, then someone said something and it just it made it worse. So like, yes, clear your thoughts, clear your vessel before coming into the conversation. Absolutely.
Yes, because what happens is when you have done the work to build mental fortitude before anything comes at you, you
Yes.
are prepared, right? And if you don't, like you said, you have all these ruminating thoughts and you go into it, guns are blazing, right? That I'm going to say, and then they're going to say, and then I'm going to say, and you've already got the wrong mindset towards it. So it's going to blow up in your face. It has happened to me personally so many times. I grew up in poor dysfunctional communication. So it was to be heard, you yell. So that when you yell, you are going to be heard. You could act like you're not listening, but baby, you're going to hear me.
Oh, yes. Wow. Yes, 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 yes. Right. Like, I want people to take, if anything, also lean into that. What were the belief systems that were created in your household that you may have taken into future, conversations, right? What was I taught? What did I learn living in my household? And it's not just your house, it could be your environment, your neighborhood, your upbringing when you were a child. What were you taught? And, man. Yeah, I'm not even, because I was going to go into another caveat, but
Listen, we were taught a lot of things, but I
yeah,
was taught definitely yell to be heard. When people don't do as you say, you make them do. Like you get the first hit income. So I mean, I'm getting into fights growing up because like I felt fight or flight, and the assumption was, or the understanding or the value system, the programming was
like,
fight or
you,
fight first. You know what I mean? And how many fights could I have avoided if I didn't swing first, right? And I think, like being upset about something signifies that you want something to be different. You're wishing for something, you're craving something opposite, right? So
mhm.
like what you're getting is not what you wish you would be getting. And so like we'll make it relevant to relationships, right? Like partners. Your partner isn't being affectionate, right? And so you're like sitting there just frustrated and just like, probably
Giving it,
cheating on me. They probably don't want to be with me anymore. You have all of these insecurities coming up, right? And what you could do is option A, continue to just let it keep going,
right,
right? It's spiraling into frustration and then blah,
right,
right? When it comes out because of buildup of energy.
yes,
Or you can simply say, I would really like for you to be more affectionate. It sincerely bothers me to the core that
yeah,
I'm not getting this from you. And to feel like I am being nurtured in this relationship, I need this from you in
yeah,
this moment at least. This is how I'm feeling, right?
yeah.
But
Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah, Yeah. I joke when I say what a crazy thought when you said that because it was beautifully said. Like I feel like I want, it would be wonderful if I could have some more affection. You guys, like we know these things aren't easy to do, but when we think about it, do you choose, like Eddie said, option A of just sitting there with your thoughts and ruminating and have all these insecurities spew out and think that, your boyfriend or girlfriend is going to leave you and think that they don't like you anymore, they don't love you anymore, and be in that frantic state? Or could you just ask for clarification and just ask for what it is that you're yearning for, which I know is not easy, but trust me, guys, it's like the faster route, right? And you'll
Right.
know, like, of course, babe, of course I would do that. Or like, if he or she's not winning, then we got to reevaluate some things, right? But you normally, if they care for you, they're gonna want to do what makes you happy.
This is absolutely true. So we have some engagement here. Let's see what's going on. We have Felicia. I know. Wait, we already did that. Without saying I'm seven from the right thing. Then she said, because I'm not going to affect you about it because me and my mom have negative vibe and me and my brother have negative vibes. This is important. Oh my God, Felicia, I love that you said this. So what I'm hearing you say is
Mm.
you are having difficult situations in communicating with your children and understanding, right? And then the very next thing that you bring to us is that you've had a negative situation or a misunderstandings with your mom, right? And now you're a mom, right? And so I don't know anything about you personally, and I commend you. I think that you're a great parent for going into therapy. This is a beautiful thing that most parents skip the beat on. So congratulations to you for identifying that you needed external sources to come in to try to help you to rectify whatever is going on. But it is profound what you said because we're talking about learning what life is like from our relationships. And what you were taught, unfortunately, love, is, a lot of people make the assumptions that we have great parents, right? And that our parents can, like, that's your mom. Why do you hate your mom? 'Cause I've met people. I had a great relationship with my mother and I lost my mother. And so I have felt so much like wishing she was here. And when I see people having bad relationships with their mom or talking about their moms or fuck that bitch, I've heard, right? Then
Mhm.
it's like there was a discord there for me, but that's my personal stuff. What I have learned is that not every parent has been a good parent. There are some mentally ill people who have children
Mhm.
who were taught, who, for whatever reason, I'll give you an example. My grandmother is schizophrenic and she hates women.
Mhm.
And so I think it's significant and notable that my father became a womanizer. He grew up beating and abusing women, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And as a teenager, I had to check my family because I'm walking with my grandmother at 14 years old and she's cursing out random women in the street. I was embarrassed as hell, but you little fucking bitch, don't look at my grandson. She wants to take your check, Chi. She wants to use you for your money. And it was just like total psycho bullshit. But
Mhm.
her perspective was women were evil, women were bad, women used men.
Mhm.
And then my father had a negative perspective about women, and the cycle continued, right? And I'm breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting, though. Here's a little funny part of the caveat to it. I'm a gay man now, right? So I don't even know what that shit's about. But I don't know if that's personal preference or the cycle repeating in another form. But
Yeah. You know what I love about that, Eddie, is that again, we're here being curious as to why we are the way we are and not like shameful, not embarrassed. That is the key to mindfulness too. Like be curious. Why do I get heated? Does that come from my father, right? Because he also gets heated in conversations. Why do I have a tendency to eat this way, to work this way, to live this way? Like just ask questions.
yes. And if you want to know why you have negative relationships repeatedly, I met a gentleman. I find myself giving people psychotherapy all the time, right, Julissa? And I'm not a psychotherapist, but in meditation and mindfulness, it's sort of like complementing each other in opposite worlds, right? Same difference.
It's
But
the
I met a gentleman who came into my home and he continued to apologize about things, and it was random. Like, I'm sorry, I can't. If I'm disturbing you from coming over, I just needed to talk. No, you're not disturbing me. Don't apologize. Can I have some water? I'm sorry, I'm thirsty. Apologize again. 4 or 5 apologies later, I asked him, why do you keep apologizing to me? You've done nothing wrong. He
same.
proceeds to continue to tell me that he's stressed out in his relationship and that his girlfriend is pretty abusive and she takes advantage of him and she uses him. So then I asked, what was your relationship like with your mother, with your father?
Mhm.
He immediately says to me, my dad was not there. My mom and me have a really bad relationship. She's abusive towards me. She has never accepted me. She has
Mhm.
always told me that everything that I have done is wrong. No matter what I've done, I've always been wrong, right? And she hates my father. So I proceed to ask him, do you look like your father? And he says to me, I am his twin, right? So it
Mhm.
is an unfortunate thing that has happened there. There is baggage and energy that came from the original relationship of mom and dad that has been transferred. Remember, family system, somebody enters or exits, they replace the energy that the other person in the family system had,
That,
right?
that's why things tend to repeat over time, generation. I go, yes, so good, so good. Yes.
So now mom and dad break up because dad was cheating on her, and dad had promised her, he proceeds to tell me, that they were going to get married and that the children that they had, him and his brothers and sisters, were going to be the glue that kept them together. Unfortunately, dad was a womanizer, a cheater, whatever, for whatever happened, I don't know, but he left her hurt and scarred and bitter. And
Mhm.
she has translated that energy pre-contemplatively, meaning she doesn't know that she's doing this. She's just sort of going, right, in auto mode. And
Right.
she has taken out that energy and replaced it on the guy who looks like him, her son. And she
Right.
raised him believing that he could do no right. So he's extremely apologetic by nature and who he is. And she's also taught him that women and men have, or their parents have taught him that their relationships are supposed to be in turmoil, that the women are supposed to be upset. It's okay. Like, it's normal. You know what I mean? Like, women can be upset at men. It's what he has learned. And so now he's seeking out women
He's
who feel
seeking.
abusive.
Okay, so this is the part that I want people to really understand. Yes. So subconsciously, you are seeking those individuals, and there's like this crazy thing because it's like, well, I met this person at a bar. How could I have possibly known that this person was going to treat me this way? You don't. But this is what I'm talking about. Like your energy is not aligned, right? We have not healed. Therefore, when we look for partners, friendships, right? We're going to find people that fit our puzzle pieces perfectly.
The energy, right? If the mindfulness piece, the energy we're putting out is the energy we're attracting.
Yes, yes, right. So it's if you, I say this with love. If you find yourself in repeating relationships where your partner continues to do X behavior over and over, I don't know why. I just, all the guys that I meet, all the women that I meet end up doing X, Y, and Z to me. Like, I say this with love. You are the common denominator.
All love, but you're the problem.
You're the common. No, I'll say it nicer.
Not the problem. I don't want to use, but people are like, oh, I have this problem, right? And it's
Mhm.
like the problem is emanating from within the behaviors, beliefs, and things you're putting out,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So that's why like when you go to whatever form of healing you choose, meditation, breath work, therapy, people, psychedelics, whatever you do to heal, right? Just know that your energy is then going to be shifted and transformed. And when you rise, when you change that energy, when you heal and you become a better version of yourself, you then begin to attract different things into your
Yes.
with everything, money, career, relationships, like because you have now shifted. So now you're seeing the world you're like higher, you're seeing the world a little bit different, and you're like, oh my God, this is what's been happening all these years. Like, yes, that's what we've been trying to tell you. Like, yes, and this is an ever evolving journey. You get higher and higher and higher every time. If we stay here though, our view is limited to what we know and what has been our past. And that's
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. So I love you. You are the bomb.com. So, and it's good to have balance, right? I I want to be clear. We come from a place of love and support, and we're never attacking who you are. We want you to just question why you are the way that you are, and love yourself and not be judgmental towards yourself. I think a lot of times we spend so much time beating ourselves up. And Maria here said a couple comments ago, your thoughts could be sometimes your biggest enemy, right?
oh,
And that
well, if it's negative, yeah.
right, it depends on your mindset, right? If you're thinking, I am light, I am love, I'm doing the best that I can with what I've been given, right? Mantras. I always talk about mantras. Mantras are repetitious statements we make that should be affirmative.
At least for
Unfortunately, our mantras have been for the most part, right? Generally speaking, society has taught us negative mantras. right? Why we question things with a negative tone. Why did I do that? I'm not smart enough to do that, or I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have said that. And it's like, no, don't ever speak against yourself. You're,
Right.
you're learning. Life is a big school, right? I call it like the school of life.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we're here to experience and learn. And you can't beat yourself up for not knowing something, but you must hold yourself accountable when you know, and
Mhm.
you just continue to repeat things that don't serve you. This is where you've got to get real. There are people out there, and me and Julissa, we're talking about, providing healing sessions for folks and doing things like, masterminds where we get together with you and we give you super psychotherapy, like
All the
freaking 101, 102, 102, like we give it all to you, right? And we let you sit on that. And
yeah.
we want you to really celebrate your uniqueness, but
Mhm.
also do the work. We can provide you with all the value and all of the information and all of the insights that she and I have gathered over our experience, right? And learning and studying psychotherapy, studying the mind, studying the whys, studying relationships, studying humanity and psychology, right? But if you are not open to doing the work and actually bringing the mirror in with a positive lens, right? A healing lens, then it's just going to go in one ear and out the other, right?
Right, right.
So we must apply techniques and things that we learn. A lot of times I was being given information growing up and I just didn't.
Take it. Put it
Yeah.
this way. Sometimes we do need accountability as well, because I see and I love all the love that we're receiving from this live, right? So many people are saying, I'm so happy that I hopped on, right? Yes, like understand that like this too, I believe it. Like you were supposed to hop on this live. You were supposed
Yes.
to on this live, right? And if you enjoyed the conversation, be sure we're coming on every other Friday to do convos like this. And
Yes.
like Eddie was saying, like we have something where me and Eddie are cultivating something so beautiful to help individuals heal from within, right? So because we want the generational trauma to stop, we
Yeah.
want better, we want to and this is for everyone. But if we're looking at stats, who a lot of the times individuals that end up being caught in generational trauma are those of color,
Yeah.
right? So, this is for everyone, and we want everyone to be able to heal. But just know that me and Eddie are working on something with so much love to help
Yes.
you guys heal from within, past these conversations.
Yeah, some of us, have been chewed up by life and spit out. This is my last statement because we're actually running out of time and these lives get cut off in the hour. But look at how fast time flies when you're having fun, right? So all love all day. Thank you for Frankie. Maria. Yep, my mom is bipolar and has mental issues, and I don't even know how to talk to her at all because of her negativity. Maria, I love you, and I want you to know that the frustration that you have felt with the difficulty in dealing with bipolar disorder is valid. It is okay
Yeah,
that you have had a hard time. So relieve yourself of feeling like any of it was your fault, right? This is
right,
the first step. Because the reality is, we were just talking about how our parents have done the best with what they had. And when
mhm,
you have someone who has a mental illness or a limitation in how they're able to think and control or regulate their mood patterns, then you're dealing with two different people in one person, right? You're dealing with extreme highs when folks have bipolar disorder, for those of you who don't know, and extreme lows, right? Super depression, super disengaged, right? And that is unpredictable. It can be a day of this, a day of that, a couple of days of this, a couple of days of that, right? Depending on the person. And so,
right,
Maria, you have had to dance with that energy. And now, from what I know about Maria, she is a beautiful parent and she has her own challenges, but her kids are well taken care of and she's doing the best that she can. Maria, I want you to know that that you are supported, that you are blessed, and that you're doing the work by nature of engaging in discussions like this, right? You could have scrolled through any other video, but you saw we were talking about healthy relationships and parenting, and as a mom, you did the right thing by tuning in. So I want to say great job for that.
yeah,
Much love to you, snaps, right?
yeah,
And just stay strong. You've been through so much. I can't even imagine what it's like to grow up with a parent who sometimes feels like this and sometimes feels like that. And you have to sort of dance that and walk on eggshells, right? Not knowing what you're going to get today,
yeah.
um, which
So,
sets the precipice of life for
mhm,
you, right? And how you believe every other relationship that is so valuable to you may or may not come.
yeah.
So with that being said, I know we're running out of time. Let me see if folks have. Is there anything that you want to say to that as well,
Um,
Jalissa?
you gave great nuggets, like resonate on your relationship with your mom, and just be sure I'd be inquisitive that you're not expecting those same behaviors from other individuals that walk into your life. And be aware if you find individuals that are that way walking into your life, just see the connection there and see what changes may have to be made.
Yes, and I'm literally crying right now. Thank you. I love you. Oh, Maria, sending you much love, baby.
Uh,
You need to know that you're doing your best, and that's all we can do. You know, I know, I do know Maria personally, so I want you to know I don't have anything to share about yourself that you don't want to share. But I know this, you've had a rough journey, and as somebody who has had to rise to the occasion after a rough fucking journey of being chewed up, spit out by life repeatedly, I
mhm.
know what the trauma layers look like. And for you as a woman and a woman of color, I can't even imagine how much more. I know some details, and my heart goes out to you, and I love you because you're fucking strong.
Mm.
Okay? You are fucking strong.
Yeah.
So if this resonated and if it hit, you need to go look in the mirror and you need to say, Maria, you've got this. You're doing
Mhm.
the best that you can, right? And that's all that you can do is just give yourself some love and give your kids some love. And then you're going to create and manifest love in your circle.
Say I am resilient. I am breaking.
I am strong.
I am strong, right? I am enlightened. I am educated. All those things because you are. You're here at this live. You're gaining golden nuggets, and you're going to apply it, right? So yeah, so happy that you joined. We have one last comment, and I guess we could wrap up because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Philly, I don't know if you read this one. It said, "That's why I always tell everyone how to love yourself. Learning to love yourself before you love anyone else besides yourself. Anyone come inside your heart on a true rose talk sometimes comes apart." Yes. So loving yourself from within, right? Loving yourself, what we're talking about, healing from within, right? I actually do have a program right now that I am launching. It's called the Revolutionary Act of Self-Love for that reason. For that reason, exactly, right? All tips and tricks on how to understand and love yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself for others.
That's
Yes.
right. So we have to wrap up, y'all, because Instagram is going to cut us off soon. We're going to be doing this bi-weekly, so we'll see you in 2 weeks, right? And that's two
Yes.
Fridays from now at 10 a.m.
Yes.
I have a couple of things I would like to announce before we go as well.
Yeah.
Julissa and I are working on a mastermind that we hope to deliver at the end of August, beginning of September. After we do these lives with you all, we're going to bring you content and value in these lives, and we're going to give you all that we've got. We've got some more, though, right? That is invaluable. It is things that you can take with you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
And we hope that you can be a part of that discussion, a part of that group. There will be limited slots available, so snag up your spot when you get a chance when we do announce it. But in the meantime, stay tuned to our lives. Join in. If you know a parent or someone who could benefit from receiving this information, please share the video with them. Tag them in this post.
Yes.
Tell them to come on to our next live,
Yes.
right? And engage in the discussion.
Yes.
And also, a couple other things that I have going on. Like I said, I just have to run through this filing cabinet back here.
Yes.
So, I've recently partnered with Outer There, and we're doing mindfulness hikes. The last 3 have sold out. The next one is that we have available is July 25th, which is 5 days after my 36th birthday. So we will be hiking in celebration of life, in gratitude, in awareness, in the moment. And I will be providing a guided meditation. The last 3 have been epic. They've been unique experiences, each of them, and I hope that you can be a part of the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Leche we are. Love, energy, community, healing, and empowerment. Okay? So I don't have a big leche on my face for anything provocative, although that might be the preference at times. In any event, lecheweare.com is a mindfulness platform for individuals like ourselves who are into being more mindful, who are seeking information like this, lives like this, masterminds like learning to love from within, right? For Julissa, and the mastermind that we're coming up with, happiness from within.
Yeah.
So if you want to join, it's free. I do giveaways. Congratulations to Randy Banker, who won some Leche socks. This month's giveaway prize is a Leche shirt, like the one I have on. get it in black or white, right?
Yeah.
But this is free, and this comes from my pocket, and this is literally offered to people for being members as an incentive. I want to give back to the community in any way that I can, and that's by providing mindfulness tools, tips, tricks for free, and a community for like-minded individuals with good energy. And I'm going to give away some stuff so that you can feel some leche in your life, even if you can't afford it, right? And just to reward you for signing up to be a Mindfulness Collective member. I want to, oh, Gracious, thank you both for the morning vibe. Oh, Frankie, thank you for the love, light and love.
Yeah.
Julissa, you have any closing remarks, my love?
Closing remarks. Just remember that life is always happening for us, not to us, and we are meant to grow and learn from everything that is happening to us. So that is that.
Yes. And I will say, no, that you have limitless light, love, and potentiality. So chase your dreams, do the work, and watch the miracles manifest in happiness in your life. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. If you like, share, comment, post, and we'll
Yes,
see you next time, baby.
yes, yes, yes. Love you all.
Love y'all. Look, 29 seconds left. Instagram is warning me. We did it, baby. We bet the hour mark. God bless you all. Light and love to you all. See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.